Welcome! Class is in session and we're discussing Victoria Monét. If you don't know her, you're in luck because I'm here to give you the education. And even if you are familiar, stick around. Victoria Monét is a singer-songwriter best known for her work with Ariana Grande. Though her work with the superstar has become the most popular, she has worked with other artists like Brandy, Chloe Halle, Fifth Harmony, and Normani. What she took on as a means of survival she thrived at, so much so that it eclipsed her front-facing artistry. However, Victoria has declared now her moment, deciding for the first time in a long time to put herself first through the release of Jaguar. In this video, we discover who is Victoria Monét. Upbringing. Victoria Monét McCants was born on May 1, 1989 in Atlanta, Georgia, to a single mother, Eltanya Cubitt. When she was 3, they moved to Sacramento, California, where they would remain. She grew up sheltered with an overprotective mother. In absence of siblings, she spent a lot of time with adults, mainly her grandparents. As a result, she developed mature taste in music, loving Motown artists like The Temptations. Michael Jackson was her first inspiration. Her uncle gave her a VHS of MJ's show and she replayed it so much it broke. She also loved watching footage from Sade's Love Deluxe World Tour, musicals, and black and white films. Not only did her family consume music, but they are musical. Her mother, grandmother, and aunt sing, and her grandpa plays sax and the bass. Music was all around, and she soon found herself on stage in Catholic plays and the youth choir at her church. Epiphany. Monet's realization of what she wanted to do came early. She recalls watching Halle Berry in HBO's Introducing Dorothy Dandridge and telling her grandmother that that's what she wanted to be, a triple threat who could dance, sing, and act. The only issue is she was too shy to sing in front of other people. She preferred the silence of dance. In middle school, she founded a drill team. At Sheldon High School, she danced 3 times a day. She rehearsed after class for Universal Rhythm Dance Company, taught dance, and then would rehearse with the Boogie Monsters. She did this grueling routine daily, in addition to working at Circuit City, to her mother's dismay, who didn't appreciate her coming home so late. Undiscovered Gifts. In high school, Victoria began exchanging poetry with her older cousin. She would eventually pair these poems to music and post them on MySpace. During this time, a friend introduced her to the concept of ghostwriting, which prompted her to research those behind her favorite songs. When she discovered that Rodney Jerkins, aka Darkchild, was behind songs like Full Moon and Rock My World, she friended him on MySpace. He then invited her to audition for a girl group. She went and was invited to join. Jerkins told her to go home, pack, say goodbye, and then come back to LA. This upset her mother, but after reflecting on her own mother's death, she was supportive and let Victoria go. Purple Rain. The group came to be known as Purple Rain, and they developed a small YouTube following. Far from a fairy tale, they were broke, singing in front of In-N-Out for money. They had no place to live, but thankfully, one of Victoria's groupmates from New York knew D-Mal, an up-and-coming producer at the time, who let them stay with him until they got on their feet. He even brought them food. His kindness was something Victoria would never forget, and the start of their friendship. The group released a mixtape called Darkchild Presents Purple Rain, where they remixed popular songs.
Baby, make me lose, make me lose my breath. Can you make me lose my breath? Baby, make me lose my breath. Baby, can you make me lose? Can you make me lose my breath?
Eventually, the group inked a deal with Motown, which Victoria saw as a sign from her grandma that she was on the right track. But shortly afterwards, they were dropped. After the disbandment, the other girls went their separate ways, and Victoria was left the only person on the lease. This put financial strain on Victoria, leading her to sign unsavory deals out of desperation. She was even grifted by a Craigslist roommate. She was ashamed to tell her family the truth. She felt embarrassed that a seemingly perfect situation didn't work out, but she was determined to stay the course. Fight or flight. The pressure of being in LA with no family and now no deal forced Victoria into fight or flight mode. She had to figure out a way to survive. She decided to use what she learned from the group to her advantage. With the group, she earned her first placements for Chantel and Diddy Dirty Money. The group introduced her to LaShawn Daniels, rest in peace, who taught her how to write and vocal produce. The group is also how she met her production and at the time romantic partner Tommy Brown, who was also under Darkchild. Together, they made songs for Meek Mill, Chrisette Michele, Jhené Aiko, and most notably Ariana Grande, to name a few. They even wrote for Kanye West, a credit that didn't come about the traditional way. The story is that Travis Scott, who was crashing at their place, allegedly stole their song and gave it to Good Music as though it was his, but Tommy found out. Victoria doesn't hold any ill will towards Travis because she said he was just trying to make it. Her and Tommy even had plans to develop artists through their V-Tom imprint. They were inseparable. He was integral to Victoria's early career.
My favorite producer to work with is Tommy Brown. He's been the most consistent person in my entire career. He's always there to support me. He's at the meetings, he's at the shows, he's in the studio.
Hooks. Victoria would earn her first breakthroughs through singing hooks. She wrote hooks and demoed them so well in hopes that they'd keep her parts. Initially, she would get replaced, but there were some brave rappers who took a chance on her. The first was Nas, who featured her on You Wouldn't Understand. He even brought her on the Arsenio Hall show, which was her first TV performance. Years later, she would be featured on hooks for artists like T.I. Ariana Grande. Victoria met Ariana almost 2 years before the release of her debut album, Yours Truly, when she was just on Nickelodeon's Victorious. At the time, Tommy had a publishing deal while Victoria didn't, so he would take her along to the sessions his publisher set up. One was with Ariana and Nick Jonas. Nick wasn't really feeling Victoria, so he didn't want her to come back, but Ariana liked a song Victoria wrote called Honeymoon Avenue and asked her back to do the vocal production. Victoria and Tommy did another song on her debut, and a year later, Ari brought them back for My Everything. On the subsequent tour, Ari invited Vic and Tommy to see her in Pittsburgh. They wound up staying for more dates, which led them to become really close. They have credits on all of her albums. Nightmares and Lullabies. This project was exclusively produced by Tommy, although D-Mal did do some production. Act 1 was released in 2014 and Act 2 in 2015 under Atlantic Records. The project was named this due to the duality of the hard-hitting beats and her light, whimsical vocals. In my opinion, the project was very experimental and showed her versatility. 2015. Victoria was named a new artist to know by Rolling Stone. She co-wrote Ariana's Christmas and Chill album and 2 songs of Fifth Harmony's debut album, Reflections. 2016. Victoria co-wrote On the Way for 2088 and did 4 tracks for Ariana Grande's Dangerous Woman. She toured with Fifth Harmony on their 727 tour. In response to the deaths of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, she and Ariana put out Better Days. Victoria also released the bop Do You Like It? 2017. By 2017, Victoria was no longer with Atlantic Records. She toured on Ariana Grande's Dangerous Woman tour. While on tour, she released Ready with a video directed by frequent Beyoncé collaborator Jaquel Knight. The response to the video was mixed, with some taking issue with her pulling obvious inspiration, which I think was the point, from various pop stars, such as Maya and Janet Jackson. It's important to mention that during this time, she was functioning as a one-woman show. She was booking accommodations for her dancers and band, paying for videos out of pocket, and so much more. Life After Love. In 2018, Victoria co-wrote 2 songs for Ariana Grande's Sweetener, and released her second project, Life After Love Parts 1 and 2. Life After Love chronicles her journey back to self after ending her 6-year-long relationship with Tommy Brown, who she thought was her forever. Interestingly, her ex did production on the project along with D. Mal. This project showed growth. I really enjoyed it.
You cry until you make a river deep enough to motherfucking drown in. If you can hear me now, rise down, so I can waterfall out of love.
Insecure. That same year, Victoria was asked to create 2 tracks for the Insecure Season 3 soundtrack. The first was A Little More Time featuring Lucky Daye, who she chose because his voice reminded her of Marvin Gaye, and The Glow, a remake of the song from the 80s film The Last Dragon soundtrack, which was released through Motown. This was pivotal, not only because it was 2 TV placements, but also because it showed Victoria how she sounds on Motown-inspired tracks. This was part 1 of Who is Victoria Monét. If you enjoyed it, please stay tuned for part 2.